Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second week of Inside the Lines. My name is Sam Higgs, and I am the sports editor for the Alexander City Outlook and Dadeville Record. I am here. I feel like this is uncharted territory because we're doing this on a Thursday rather than a Friday. But, I mean, for obvious reasons, we got a really good game. We got a couple really good games tonight. First being Benjamin Russell Clay Central, the game that I am currently at, and also the the game of the week. But just also to note that Benjamin Russell is not the only game that's going on tonight. A couple other games in our coverage area are going on right now. Dadeville is traveling to Hanley, and Trinity Presbyterian is heading to Reeltown for Reeltown's home opener, just as much as this is Benjamin Russell's home opener. So I am going to start with the Benjamin Russell game itself. Like I said, it's the AHSAA game of the week, and for really good reasons. These are two really good teams that are going to be matching up against each other, and this is just a big rivalry game within itself. So you know that emotions are going to be high. You know that this is just going to be a fun game, and I get I get some flashbacks from last year's matchup where Benjamin Russell traveled to Clay Central. That game was absolutely electric. I remember Zadarian Morgan going for 3 touchdowns and I believe 150 yards. It was a shootout, and I'm kind of expecting a lot of the same in this game in particular. But to kind of speak on Benjamin Russell is coming off of a week 1 loss to Opelika. There's a lot of good and, some bad in that game. For Kingston Prayer's debut with Benjamin Russell, I thought he absolutely lit it up. He had a 60% completion rating for 246 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. He also led the team on the ground with 51 rushing yards. He was able to, target his wide receivers. Zadarian Morgan popped off for 7 catches for 177 and a touchdown. And then he also hit BJ Bedgood for another really good touchdown in that game. The big thing that I noticed as far as that game goes is, Benjamin Russell can match up with anybody in the state. I think that was fairly obvious in last week's game. But the one thing that did cause some problems for them last week were pre-snap penalties. There'd be times where, they're moving down the field or they're in really good field position, and then, a false start would back them up, and then another penalty would back them up. So I'm interested to see how much Benjamin Russell cleans up some of those penalties heading into this game. But the other, I think, really key aspect as far as this matchup goes is just 2 of the greatest minds in Alabama high school football right now. We got Kirk Johnson, who, I think everybody knows at this point he's a back-to-back state winning champion. He reached 50 wins, the fastest out of any coach in the history. He's just, a phenomenal coach. And then on the opposite side of it is going to be Danny Horn, who's the all-time winningest head coach in Alabama high school football history. I think everybody who's watching this knows Danny Horn was also the head coach of Benjamin Russell, had a lot of success here before going back to Clay County. So this is going to be just such an interesting matchup as far as the coaching minds and the talent that's in this game. I'm interested to I just know that this is going to be a really good game. I know that there's going to be a lot of fireworks. I know there's going to be a lot of really big plays. And I think one benefit that Benjamin Russell has in this matchup compared to last year is they got the home atmosphere. And I think everybody here is going to go nuts. I think everybody already knows what kind of Benjamin Russell's home atmosphere looks like, and I just imagine it's going to look a whole lot better with, this kind of game. And it's on a Thursday. Everybody's going to come out to this one. So yeah, I'm just really interested to see how this goes. I also want to point out some defensive standouts from last week's game. 2 of the guys that really just lit up the stat sheet were Brandon Hicks and Charles Chappelle. Both of them crossed double digits with their tackles, and both of those guys are playing on the inside. They both had some big hits, and they were both, really good presence, had a really good presence in the run game. And I imagine Clay Central is going to come in and want to run the ball. I've heard some rumblings from, a couple different places that's what Clay Central is going to do. Obviously, these are rumors, and we'll see whenever it actually happens on the field. But I imagine Clay Central is going to want to run the ball and impose their will. And when you have 2 guys like those 2 guys at your inside linebacking position, it's going to make it difficult. And then, also to key into the defensive line, you got Charzell Davis, you got Vontae Traylor, you got Kendarius Bird. those guys are all big bodies that are not going to be easily moved off the ball. So, I mean, defensively last week, Benjamin Russell made some plays. They caused 3 fumbles. Christian Smith also got an interception that ended up leading to a touchdown. So, I mean, forcing turnovers is not a problem for the Benjamin Russell defense. But yeah, this is just going to be such a fun game with a lot of star power, some great minds in the sport, an amazing atmosphere. And then I don't know if you can see it behind me, but we also got the debut of the Jumbotron here at Martin Savarese Stadium. So I'm interested to see how that goes. I mean, we are an hour away from kickoff, and I would say the energy is already flowing in this arena. I mean, stands are already almost packed up on the home side. You can see the visiting sides filling up as we go. But yeah, I mean, this is just going to be a really fun game. You know, Benjamin Russell, they want to win this game, and they want to kind of set the tone. I think that they showed every capability of being able to win the game last week. And I think this week, they're just going to be ready. The other thing, I also want to point out, I forgot that it's supposed to be a blackout, but I am wearing all black. They got the end zone painted black. You know, it's just going to be a really cool environment. So I'm going to take a little bit of a commercial break, get into our other Thursday night games, and then also preview some of the games we got coming up on Friday. So I'll be right back after.
Hi, my name is Andrew McGreer. I'm the owner of Dunning Roofing. We serve an area from Birmingham to Montgomery to Auburn to Opelika and all the surrounding Lake Martin area. Well, we've been in business for 25 years almost, and we've been growing every year since then. Recently, we won an award by GAF, who's the largest manufacturer of shingles in the world, and we've achieved a Master Elite status. That Master Elite status is critical, not only for us as a company. Only 2% of roofers worldwide ever achieve this designation. We got it because we're exceptional. We look forward to helping you.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing that keeps us focused.
A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game, to drown out that self-doubt and support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and your mental health.
Discover the resources that you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
And welcome back to Inside the Lines. My name is Samuel Higgs. I am your sports editor for the Alexander City Outlook and the Dadeville Record. Forgot to mention it at the beginning of the show. Just want to give a shout out to Dunning Roofing for being a sponsor of Inside the Lines. If you have any roofing needs, be sure to reach out to them. They have their number on the bottom left of you guys. Hopefully I got my sides right. But like I mentioned earlier, there are a couple other Thursday night games going on right now. First of which is Dadeville at Hanley. And I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. The game that Dadeville played last week was really surprising to me because, you know, last year whenever the two teams matched up, it was pretty handedly Elmer County. And I mean, the score represented that. But this past week, Dadeville took a Class 5A team to overtime and just almost got the win. I remember looking at, hearing some of the stats. Corday Jefferson had a great game, and that was one thing that I was really interested to see, is how Corday Jefferson could take over the backfield, especially with the departure of the 2 leading rushers from a year ago. So he dominated. He had 2 touchdowns. I think it was 200 all-purpose yards, returning, receiving, and rushing, and then also came in and put up 8 tackles on the defensive side of the ball. So I was extremely impressed of what Dadeville did last week, and I imagine that because of the sour taste that was left in their mouth after falling in overtime, they're going to want to win this game. Obviously every team wants to win a game every given week, but I think that they're going to be hungry. And one of the things that I noticed, especially with conversations with Coach McKelvey, is they carried so much momentum from the end of last season into this season. So it was just, they're hungry, they're ready to go. The other game that is happening tonight is Trinity at Reeltown. Reeltown is also coming off of a loss in week 1 to TR Miller. That one, I'll be completely honest, I knew it was going to be a difficult game, and I knew that it's ultimately going to be a tone setter for Reeltown. I thought it played a similar role last year on their run to the state championship, where it told them a lot about themselves, and they were able to overcome that adversity from that first week. And I'm not even going to lie, that Jumbotron is very loud. But last year's game against TR Miller really set the tone, and then Reeltown went in an absolute tear. I don't think they allowed more than 20 points in any game. I think Cottonwood was the only time that they let up over 20 points, and then they just carried that dominance all the way until the state championship. And I think it's going to have a similar effect in this year. I think that it's going to be a really good game, and I think the other thing is Trinity's a really good team. Trinity's coming off of a win week 1 against Holtville, where they won 15-14. Anna Sophia was with me last week, and she let me know that I think it was a last-second field goal with 30 seconds left in the game for Trinity to come away with it. Trinity's obviously going to want to extend their record to 2-0, but Reeltown's going to want to extend theirs to 1-1 and go on a similar tear that they did last year. So I'm interested to see what that game looks like. Last year, it was such a defensive game for the Reeltown Rebels. And if you go back and look at the stats, they rushed for 200 yards, which is, part of Reeltown's game. But I want to say it was 4 turnovers in that game, held Trinity to, I don't even know. I think it was like 123 total yards on the game. So I'm interested to see if this is going to be different as far as more of an offensive game between Reeltown and Trinity, or if it's again going to be a defensive game for Reeltown. I think one of the things that we need to look at is how much of a defensive battle this is going to be, or a quarterback battle this is going to be, because Jamarcus Smith is an absolute dog. He can flick the ball 70 yards without really even trying. But Trinity also has a pretty good quarterback of their own, and that's, I believe his name is Patton Mitchell. Patton actually took over the starting quarterback role after the game against Reeltown last year, and I think he went for 17 touchdowns, 1,500 passing yards, and 4 touchdowns. So I'm interested to see what his growth is into this year. He's only a sophomore, so I think it's going to be a really good quarterback battle. I'm just interested to see, and it's so weird that we have Thursday night games. This is just really interesting. So I think it's going to be really fun. I'm excited to see what happens. But I think we're going to go take another little commercial break, and then I'm going to preview some of the other games. So we got a full slate ahead of us on Friday. So I'm going to take another little commercial break, and I will check in with you guys after the break.
Hi, my name is Andrew McGreer. I'm the owner of Dunning Roofing. We serve an area from Birmingham to Montgomery to Auburn to Opelika and all the surrounding Lake Martin area. Well, we've been in business for 25 years almost, and we've been growing every year since then. Recently, we won an award by GAF, who's the largest manufacturer of shingles in the world, and we've achieved a Master Elite status. That Master Elite status is critical, not only for us as a company. Only 2% of roofers worldwide ever achieve this designation. We got it because we're exceptional. We look forward to helping you.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing that keeps us focused.
A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game, to drown out that self-doubt and support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and your mental health.
Discover the resources that you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Welcome back to the second week of Inside the Lines. Now we're going to be actually getting into our Friday matchups. The first game that I want to start with is Chelsea at Wetumpka. And last week, whenever I was talking to Anna Sophia, I'll admit it, I picked Beauregard to win that game, and I couldn't have been more wrong with my analysis of Wetumpka. They just absolutely went out there and dominated. One guy that I had a really big question around was sophomore quarterback Charles Skipper. This is his first taste of varsity action. I had seen what he was capable of at the All-County 7-on-7, but as far as what he could do when the pads get on, I was blissfully unaware. For a debut as a varsity starter, 13 for 20, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 65% completion percentage. He hit former Coosa basketball star Caleb Ballard for a 54-yard touchdown. Hit another one with his tight end Wingard. But another one that I was very interested to see was Wetumpka was losing their running back Jimmy King from a year ago. Jimmy King was a 1,000-yard rusher. He had, multiple touchdowns and everything like that. But Jordan Hill, another sophomore, really came in and stepped up for Wetumpka. With 16 carries, he had 104 yards. He had 6.5 yards per carry, had a long of 56, and scored 2 touchdowns on the day. Offensively, they just boomed. They just dominated, and I'm really interested to see if they can carry that over into Chelsea. Chelsea is also a 1-0 team. They're coming off a pretty massive win themselves against Charles Henderson. They won 51-27. So I'm interested to see if that can continue. And like I said last week, I feel like I never have to worry about Wetumpka having a lapse in judgment as far as defense goes. And you could see it based off of their stats. Walter Myrick was just an absolute baller last week. He had 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. He didn't have a sack, but they had, they had 7 sacks on the day. Walter Myrick had also a blocked punt. Wow. It was a great day for Wetumpka as far as things go. So I'm interested to see if they can carry that momentum into a game against Chelsea. Chelsea won that game last year. I believe it was 15-14 was the final score. So a very low scoring affair. Could entirely be the case again this year in this week's game, but interested on that matchup. Another matchup that we have is Horseshoe Bend versus Wadley. This is going to be a tough little stretch for Horseshoe Bend for the next 2 weeks. They not only have 1 defending state champion, they have 2. And this is the start of that streak where they're facing off against Class 1A defending state champion Wadley. Wadley won this game pretty handedly last year. I believe they scored 62 points. So this is a tough game for Horseshoe Bend, especially after a tough loss to Sacs last week where, it was just a complete shootout. I think it was 58-42 or 48-42 was the final score in that one. As far as this matchup goes, it's going to be a slugfest between 2 really good running backs. On Wadley's side, it's Jaquez Wilkes. He's a 4-star prospect in the state of Alabama. He is committed to Auburn. He's actually a linebacker prospect and is going to be playing linebacker whenever he gets to Auburn. But, as far as a running back goes, he's just a player you don't see in Class 1A. It's kind of one of those things where it's like once every blue moon a kid in Class 2A that big It's just ridiculous. I believe he's 6'4", I believe 230 pounds. Last year he rushed for 2,537 touchdowns, set a state record, a state championship game record with 312 yards and 5 touchdowns against Maplesville. That's going to be a tough one. And I mean, I'm interested to see how the Horseshoe Bend defense really steps up. I mean, it's Sylacauga. I mean, I think, obviously the final score was 44-22, but I mean, compared to what the final score was last year when it was Sylacauga versus Central Coosa, I mean, they were able to shrink in the margin a little bit. And I mean, I'm interested. Now it's going to be relatively within their range of players. I mean, Randolph County is a 3A school, so this is going to be a little bit closer to them. Another one we got is Stanhope Elmore at Prattville. That's a long-standing rivalry game. I'm interested to see how that one goes. Prattville is a very talented team, but Stanhope had Demarion Farms really step up for them last week, 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. It was unbelievable. Another thing we got going is Southern Prep at Coosa Valley Academy. Southern Prep's dealing with a little bit of an injury bug, so I'm interested to see how they overcome what maybe new faces step up for them in this game. Another one we got going on is Shelby County at Holtville. That one, Holtville played Trinity Presbyterian really well last week, so I'm interested to see how they're able to kind of come off of that loss and see what they can do against Shelby County. Another game that we got going on is Sparta Academy at Edgewood. The Joe Bruton era has started at Edgewood. It didn't start off, too well, but I mean, this one's going to be, I imagine, to be a little bit closer. So yeah, I mean, we got an absolutely loaded slate of games on Friday. I think that we're going to be surprised by some of the teams in this game. And I mean, just one of those ones that I really got my eye on is Central Coosa. I'm just really interested to see how they play against a 3A school. Randolph County has a ridiculous running back that they're going to have to stop, but it's going to be interesting. But yeah, I think that's everything that I have for Inside the Lines. I really appreciate everybody tuning in and watching Inside the Lines this week. It looks like we're about to get started around here at Martin Savary Stadium. So if you haven't already made your way to the stadium, you can watch the game on AHSAA. I believe it's streaming across the state. But other than that, let's get ready. I'm just happy we have another week of football. But appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we'll be back next week.